Welcome. I'm the indie dev of CWDI GAMES, and in this video I am posing the question, did Fortnite ruin the gaming industry? Now, of course not. But why am I saying that? Why am I asking that question? Well, it's interesting. Fortnite came out July 25th, 2017, but September 26, 2017, their Battle Royale mode came out. The rest is history. It's interesting because it seems ever since that, AAA game companies have thrown everything to the wind and just said, we're going to make Fortnite clones. That's what it seems like's been going on. I think High Guard is the latest iteration of this. Now, Kuhlmann, articles on the internet, videos on YouTube, other YouTubers talking about an interview he did, and that he's now left Bethesda. But it's interesting that Elder Scrolls 6 was planned to be released after Fallout 4. That was the idea. Instead, what was released after Fallout 4? Fallout 76. Why? Well, I think the answer is Fortnite. Fallout 76 was released on November 14, 2018. And we all know the buggy launch that was. One of those bugs being clicking anything in the Bethesda client could trigger the deletion of the entire 50 gigabyte game. And there are other bugs, other glitches that are unfortunately normal for Bethesda games. But it was obvious the game was rushed. Of course, I think the only thing that really did work on day one was the monetization aspect, in-app purchases. But why was it rushed? Was it released in 2018? Because Fortnite was released in 2017. Because Bethesda saw, all the major game companies saw the huge success of Fortnite. And they're like, hey, we want our Fortnite. Like all the streaming services looking at Netflix, we want to do our own streaming service. How did that work out? And so that's why Elder Scrolls 6, which was planned to be the next game after Fallout 4, was pushed aside for several years. Because Bethesda wanted to have their version of Fortnite, which is Fallout 76. Online AAA game companies' dream where people just continually spend money. That's another reason why AAA game companies are in trouble. That's not how games started. Okay, MS-DOS, Duke Nukem 3D, Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake, Doom 2, Sid Meier's Civilization, Warcraft, XCOM, Star Wars. Is also in Fallout. Got its start. Command & Conquer, Grand Theft Auto, 1997, Lion King, Panzer General, Battle Chess, 1988, Orion, Tomb Raider, 96. There's just this explosion of games. And the thing is, they weren't monetization monsters. They were games. And not every game was for everybody. So many different games. I mean, what do you think would have happened back in the late 1980s and 1990s to the gaming industry if no one showed any creativity? They just tried to play it safe. And, oh, this person or this company made a game that was successful. Let's copy that. The games in the 1990s didn't do monetization. They made a game, and when it was done, they made another one. Why did this game sell? Was it because it represented people accurately? Was it because it cared about people's feelings? Did the developers for Tomb Raider sit down and think, we're going to make fat people feel bad if they play the game? No, of course they didn't. Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. Were the developers of this game worried about representing people in San Francisco accurately? Or were they focused on making a good game? Is Bethesda concerned about diversity and equality when they made Morrowind? And then we have Unreal World, released in 1992 with ASCII 2 art. Now it's on Steam. People aren't playing this because of the graphics. They're playing it because of the gameplay. The AAA game companies would be on much better footing financially if they weren't being reactionary, if they weren't chasing the latest thing, if they stuck to their plans and come out with the Elder Scrolls 6 instead of chasing after Fortnite glory, Fallout 76, they would have had success. But Bethesda stepped away from making games and they decided to chase money. And here we come to this from Reddit of all places. Indie success is not rare. Good design and iteration are. I can see this idea in game dev spaces that indie games almost never succeed. And honestly, it's very discouraging, especially for people who want to get into it. Not because game development is easy, but because people take that statement to mean don't even try. The real problem is not that indie games won't do well. We see new breakout indies from completely new devs at least once every year. The problem is usually that a lot of people don't understand what players actually want. Make games that are technically fine, but creatively lacking or simply don't present their idea in a compelling way. Some devs treat their game like it's their child, and because of that, they refuse to take criticism at face value or change anything that would improve said game when a mechanic objectively feels bad to use. They get so used to their own systems that they forget how they feel to new players. The result is games full of cool, disconnected ideas that could have been great with a bit of iteration. And that's completely okay, but saying things like the odds are nigh impossible ignores the good concepts, good execution, and a want to improve drastically increase your chances. People love unique art, people love new ideas, people love games that say something or offer an experience they can't get anywhere else. This is true. The demand for indie games has never been higher. That's also true. Not merely call out people on ego if they believe they have an amazing idea. Hear them out, please. Game dev is not magic. Your best friend might be able to make the best game of all time. You just can't know before you see it. And then we've had so many hero shooters after. The gaming industry just doesn't understand. It's like they're not making games. They're just trying to chase money. Meanwhile, indies are making games. Here's an indie game. Axona is a grid-based puzzle game that brings the challenge of 3D cube solving to a 2D plane. Strategically roll your cube, match the correct faces to collect the keys, and unlock glyphs to solve each level. Gorgeous graphics, beautiful effects, and a lot of great game juice to keep you pushing through tricky moments. I found myself very immersed in the game's strong visuals and sound design. Fun is a puzzle rolling cube game that truly pushes you to think about solutions very critically, given the variety of puzzles, levels, and unique mechanics you'd encounter in the later levels. Because someone succeeds doesn't mean you have to fall or you have to fail. It's not taking anything away from you when someone succeeds. And you don't have to make the next Fortnite. You don't have to make the next Oblivion. You don't have to make the next Doom. Make your game. The development of Doom. Doom, a first-person shooter game by id Software, was released in December 1993 and is considered one of the most significant and influential video games in history. Development began in November 1992 with programmers John Romero, artist Adrian Carmack, and Kevin Cloud, and designer Tom Hall. And development Hall was replaced by Sandy Peterson, and programmer Dave Taylor joined. Music and sound effects were created by Bobby Prince. So that's not a large team.